What's going on, y'all? We are here, another episode of Overtime presented to you by TECK Foul. This week, we got another TECK Foul Cinema episode for you. We are going to be discussing the brand new Disney film Rise, which is all about the Giannis Antetokounmpo family. Um, we had a little conversation about it on Tuesday during our weekly show about who is the real main character of this movie. So I'm looking forward to talking with Eric about that a little bit more, but we won't waste too much more time. Let's just get this episode started.
Tim ain't here. I don't know how to start it. But I am the RJ.
Only known as
the RJ.
And I'm Camille, point guard of the crew, the real life Tifa Lockhart, the girl next door, holding it down for all the women who love sports. And if you watching the video, you already seen what the deal was. If you listen to the audio version on the Good News Radio Network, which shout out to the Good News. It's me and Eric holding it down right now. Tim might be joining us at some point throughout this episode, but we were like, we got to get to it because there's too much to talk about when it comes to this movie. And we Bucks fans, so of course we got to talk about Rise. So in case you're unfamiliar, Rise is a biographical sports drama film based on the true story of the young Nigerian Greek brothers, Giannis, Thanasis, Kostas, Alex, who immigrate to the United States and rise to fame and success within the National Basketball Association. That's how Wikipedia explains the movie. And actually, to be honest with you, Wikipedia didn't even have Alex's name in there, I guess because he didn't make it to the NBA yet. But the real of it is the story about the Antetokounmpo family. Like, pure and simple, like basketball definitely plays a point in it. But when I was watching it myself, it felt more of like a movie about family than anything else. Like, first and foremost, it felt like a movie about family, which I guess if you know Giannis or even know of Giannis and his family, that probably isn't that big of a surprise.
No, not at all. Yeah, I guess we can jump right into it. That it felt more of like a Thanasis-centered movie. Like
that's not who I thought you would say.
Well, I mean, like, really, it's about his parents. But like, if we're talking about like the basketball journey, like it was about like Thanasis being great, essentially, all the way up until he hurts himself, and then Giannis has to kind of step in. Like, Giannis is kind of like slowly simmering in the background, as Thanasis is kind of being the one to rise up in basketball. Like, and I think that the actor playing Thanasis was a little bit more charismatic. So that kind of helped because he got pretty much all the good lines as far as the brothers go. So, but yeah, it was a good kind of spotlight on the journey of his parents. So Charles and Veronica. I mean,
shoot. I mean, we can just start. We can just start right there because the movie kicks off, and you see Charles and Veronica in Nigeria, and they have their son in their hand, Francis, and they're talking about leaving. And you see them leave, and they end up in Turkey. And I'm not going to hold you, like, when that movie started and they had the scene in Turkey where they're in the like hotel or brothel or whatever it was that they were staying in. Hostel. That's not brothel. My fault.
They were not in a brothel.
My fault. No disrespect.
Totally different movie if they were in a brothel.
No, I definitely meant to say a hostel. That's what I meant. I stayed in one of those. And like that family, probably have never stayed in a brothel. So anyways, they're in there and it's so cute. And it's like, oh, they love each other so much as they're on this journey. And the next thing you know, it's immigration police and they breaking everything up. They are snatching families apart. They don't have any concern about how they're treating these people. And I know that how the story ends, and I was still sitting there like, oh my God.
Like I was not expecting the action sequence in this movie.
Me either. Them jumping out the window and
Right.
hiding in the bathroom. I'm like, y'all got my heart pumping now. I did not expect the movie to start this way. But it was, I think, very important to do because as somebody who knows this story, I think, and I understood that Veronica and Charles had it difficult. Like in my head, I know it's difficult, but to see even that little snapshot of what the journey was like to get from Nigeria to Greece, it was just really jarring where you're like, man, like that's a whole different level of stress. Like they had to really make a way out of nothing with a lot of people after them. So it was crazy to see that. And like you said, we had an action scene to start the movie off. And my first thought, like I turned to my husband on the couch and I was like, I can understand why they felt this journey was going to be too dangerous for a baby. Like I can't imagine being in that situation with a newborn child.
No, I don't even want to go on like a trip to Chicago from Milwaukee with the toddler, let alone a newborn. So yes, I definitely understand.
And talking about the focus of the movie, how you felt it was Thanasis, it was interesting. I liked the way that they focused on Francis. He wasn't like the main focus, but he was definitely a focus of this movie in a way that I felt was really nice to see because when everybody talks about the Adecumpo brothers, like Francis is never brought up. And it's in part because he didn't make the trip to Greece with them. Like he stayed behind in Nigeria. So his name isn't brought up as often. Like even when we found out he had another brother? It was like, how many brothers did he got? And to see how he was able to still be a crucial part of the movie with the distance, to be able to see how much it weighed on Veronica and Charles to not have him there with him, to see her emotions when they're video chatting. He's like, she crying already, man. We just started this phone call. Like it brought that element into it. And even Giannis, the scene where he's asking his mom in the kitchen, like, why didn't y'all bring Francis along? Like, why is he not with us? Like it was touching. And I really, I love that, especially being a woman myself who grew up with like, you know, a family with my mom, a family with my dad, to be able to see a moment where it's like the rest of the family acknowledged the other sibling who wasn't there. I was like, dang, like I feel that, like that's real. That's real. But what did you think of like how they used Francis in this movie?
I think that it was good. Like starting it off, and like honestly, I hadn't made the connection, so I'm gonna kind of shout out to Tim, but I'm gonna Tim before bit it. I'm gonna just like I'm gonna work it out as I say it. But I didn't really recognize like the through line throughout the movie. Like I recognized it, but like starting it off with Francis essentially at the beginning, and like kind of going back to it periodically. One, so that you don't forget about him, and to show that they didn't forget about him.
Yep.
And that it like even when family is separated, like they're still together. Because that was a big thing. Like when Giannis was offered like the team in Greece, I mean not team in Greece, team in Spain. He's like, we all got to go. And like I wonder if that initial trauma of separation is kind of what bonded them together and made us like, yo, we gotta stick together. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, for you using that as like your Tim explanation, you got there pretty quick. Normally Tim give us some more, but one more Francis point. It was towards the beginning of the movie. It was like a cutscene, and I heard Philly, and I was like, oh, they got his music in the movie too.
Yeah, every time, because I think he had like 2 or 3 songs in it. So like, every time it came on, I'm like, hey, that's another one of the Giannis Brothers songs. So
it was funny from our TECK Foul Instagram account. He tweeted about the movie or made a post about the movie, and I commented from our page like, yo, it was fire. We heard the track in there too, and you know that was fire. And he liked the comment up, and I was like, don't forget about us, man. Right. We trying to get into that. We trying to have that Milwaukee album launch party. We still want to host that, Philly. We are here.
Like we understand that you got other Milwaukee ties, but like this is the #1 Philly sports podcast.
Facts. Probably the #1 Philly podcast in Milwaukee. Period. We've been waiting on this album. Like, hey, I'm just say it again. We got you. We got you. We can be
that makes
great hosts.
I don't know what to tell y'all.
But yeah, I got really excited when I heard his movie, and I loved how they integrated him into it. To your point, to say like family is always together, even if they're not together. And
I didn't realize. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I didn't realize until like they did like the Where Are They Now at the end of the movie that they were separated for 25 years. Like it makes sense because like they didn't have passports for what Giannis was 18, so Thanasis was probably like 19, 20. So yeah, they didn't have passports for 2 decades. So like how could they? But it's just like damn, like they really that wasn't the plan when they left, I'm sure.
They definitely thought it was gonna be quicker than that.
Yeah, and then I think because like so, I was watching with my kids, so like there were points in time where I was a little bit distracted. But I know they said that their passports were stolen at some point. Is that the case? Okay.
That's what they said in the movie. I'm not sure of the factual accuracy of that. But yeah, they did say that in the movie.
Okay. Well, I don't want to blow up anybody's spot. I mean,
hey,
can't. But
we ain't trying to do that over here.
I don't want to make any assumptions. But according to the movie, they lost their passports, which obviously would make it difficult for them to travel back to Nigeria, and also, you know, as they show in the movie, like it was hard for them to get money in general. So like trying to pay to fly him in, it's gonna be like damn near impossible. So it makes sense. But like I can only imagine what that reunion was like.
Man, the tears that must have been shed at that reunion, and the joy and just the happiness that comes from it. When you said that you felt Thanasis was the main character, I thought that you were going to say Charles Adetokounmpo, because I feel like a lot of the movie was about him. Like it, and that could have also been by design too, because we know how this family feels about Charles Adetokounmpo. At the end of the movie, we saw they started the Charles Adetokounmpo Family Foundation, like to work in Nigeria and in Greece around issues that's important to the family. So Charles was, this is a mix of like, I feel like, so let me rewind a little bit. I said there were 3 themes from this movie when I watched it: family, immigration, and basketball. Those are the 3 major things that I got from this movie. And Charles Adetokounmpo, the actor that played him, he was outstanding. Like he was charismatic. You could see like the love, like it just all radiated so well in that movie. And to see him when he's like at the, I don't know if it's like a bank or who he was working with, and he's like, I need like these papers to get a job on payroll. But you are saying like, but I go there and they're saying I need these papers to get a job on payroll. So which way is it? Is it chicken or the egg? What am I supposed to do? And it just showed like just how difficult it is to get your citizenship when one thing requires you to have one thing, but you can't get that thing without the other thing. So just seeing how they continuously got stuck and how much they had to hustle, it was just, it was crazy. I mean, Charles was picking up whatever jobs that he could. You see him trying to protect his family, his boys. You saw that he had dreams of being a soccer player or football, as they would say, and how he had to put that to the side. And then to see his sons be able to live out their dream, it was, you could see how much it meant to him and how much it means to that family as a whole. And I just absolutely love the way they were able to portray their relationship with their father throughout the movie.
Yeah, like they, for the most part, it felt kind of like, I mean, it's kind of a trope of popular culture anyway, is that, you know, mom has to be the one like concerned about like all the details and making sure that, you know, the kids are fed and that they go to school, do everything, and then dad gets to come in and be like happy-go-lucky. Oh, I got my football, we're gonna go play, and blah, blah, blah. Like, so it was funny seeing them set that up. But they did have like that one scene where they like snuck out to play basketball. He's like, yo, y'all grounded, and it's because like what happens if somebody, like to your point about immigration, like what happens if, you know, like somebody would have tipped somebody off and like we don't know where you at, and it's just a whole thing. Like, so like his overprotectiveness, because like you saw that at the basketball scene, well, their first basketball scene, where he's just like peeking through the gate, like, hey, what y'all doing? Right. it explained like that overprotectiveness, and again back to that point earlier where it's like they had to stick together because again, like they don't know, at any point like they could just get snatched up by immigration. And
like
knows where they're getting sent.
Who to trust? And that was a reoccurring theme. Like even with the landlord who they were renting their place from, it seemed like they had a trusting relationship to a certain degree. Although the scene where they come back from like their day after they get the car, and it's like that does remind me though. The him bringing home the football, him bringing home a car, and being like, "Hey, yo, like I know it's a lot, but like we need it." It's one of those things that kind of reminds me of like in life itself. Like life is hard. It's hard for just about anybody, and what they were going through, the odds against them were crazy. But you have to try to find like those moments of joy in the day to day, even through the struggle. Like you have to have something that's like bringing you joy or making you smile or just a moment of reprieve from everything else that's going on in the world. So when he got the car and he said, "We're going to take the family on a drive," and they have a great day, awesome day, just loving life, and then get back home and they're locked out of their crib. And the boys are in the car, Veronica's in the car, and he's just sitting on the back of the car like pissed. Like you can just see it, like he would not have been able to sleep anyways because he was just too pissed off that they got locked out of their crib. And I would assume like he's like, like the situation that we in here, like come on. And then they finally get, the landlord walks up and they got all the money, and he's like, "Try it again and see what happened." And the landlord's like, "Come on, man, like don't blow that smoke up this tree. I can blow up the whole spot if I want to." I'm like, let's not play that game. And I was like, oh, not you too. Like,
hey, don't blow his money. I get it, but at the same time, like he seemed pretty lenient. Like he kept coming around for that rent, and they were like, "We got you." Like at some point, you gotta kind of,
gotta get your money. Gotta get your money. We gotta
crack down a little bit.
I think he was at the draft party too, if I remember correctly. I think I saw him in the background at the draft party. But it was just kind of wild seeing that progression. And the movie itself, again, the themes, family, immigration, basketball. I put basketball last for a reason because it was like 30-40 minutes before you even saw basketball appear in this movie. Because again, to me, this movie is about family first and foremost, and just kind of how basketball was used as a tool to help them. And that was highlighted to me after they first played together for the first time, and they super trash, but Thanasis is showing some natural talent, and Giannis he's just bad, but he's addicted to it. And Thanasis and Giannis are back at home and they're talking about it. And he's like, we're not that good. Like, we're not that good. And Thanasis is like, I will get that good if it means that it can get our family up out of here. And for some reason, that line really just radiated with me. Maybe because we've been able to watch them in the league going forward. And especially to see like how bad Giannis was when he started. Like, and this could be over-exaggerated a bit for the movie, but I do believe, if the record is correct, that Thanasis was the one who flashed the potential first. Like, he had more natural ability at basketball than Giannis did when they first started playing. But as we saw in the movie, Giannis was not going to be outworked. And again, if he heard his big bro say, like, this is something that we can use to get up out of here, he was going to do all that he could to get up out of here on the strength of that basketball.
And I feel like that's kind of underrated and taking us out of the movie. But I think that's something that's underrated. Like, everybody looks at Thanasis being on the bus. It's like, oh, he only got that job because of Giannis, which true, but like, he had enough talent to be like a professional basketball player, regardless of who his brother was. Like, he was already, like, again, like they showed, he had an offer from a team before Giannis. And that part is factual. So, like, would he be in the NBA? Probably not. But like, I'm sure he still would have got like a look at least, because natural athleticism, and he's 6'7". certain stuff you just can't teach. And there will be some team like, yo, we take a flyer on him, see what he got. Like, the Knicks ain't know what Giannis was going to be when they drafted Thanasis the year after. So.
Right. Like, he did make it to the NBA on his own merit at one point, like you mentioned. And I did do a fact check to see like what happened with the team that Nass was going to sign with. Because I remember reading, well, I didn't read the Giannis book that came out, but I had the audio book. So I heard the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember them talking about when he got his contract. I remember Alex in particular mentioning like, yo, that was like the first success that we got. We were so excited. And then we just got knocked down all over again. It just hit us right back in the gut again. But of course, movies always take some liberties because it's a movie. We gotta spruce things up a little bit. But right. But in the movie, it's portrayed as when Thanasis does get his contract, that, you know, they have their day and they go out to the town. They all got their nice little clothes on. And they go to cash the check and they're like, this check ain't no good. And then they find out that it's no good because the team withdrew the offer because of Thanasis' citizenship. The real story of it, though, apparently the team was wiped out before Thanasis ever got a chance to play because they were just in a bad financial place. Plus, he didn't have the citizenship paper, so that part was true. But the team itself was in a bad financial spot, so they just kind of fell apart. And on top of that, he did not have his citizenship paper, so he was actually going to be ineligible to play in like any event. So they just took out the team folding part and highlighted the fact that, again, them not having their papers, although he was born in Greece, only knew Greece, he wouldn't be able to play. And that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, 100%. Like you mentioned it before, but like kind of the bureaucracy that's involved there. And like, honestly, the lady even said it, like, it's not set up for, it's more set up to keep people out than to let people in. So like, they're going to make it as difficult as possible from Jump Street. But then again, like, if you want to do it the right way, which, I mean, say they entered illegally, so they were trying to do it the right way. But like, once you're there, you're trying to do it the right way. Like, there really isn't an avenue to do that. It just it's fortunate for them that they have these super talented kids that wound up being able to get them out. But hopefully this story kind of humanizes the immigration debate, right? Which really shouldn't be a debate, but like it is, not just in Greece, but here, hopefully, where like these people aren't coming here to, you know, take your jobs or to, you know, be criminals or whatever it is that you think, like whatever bigoted reason people think, like they're really just trying to make a life for themselves and their kids, and they feel like they have more opportunity in other countries sometimes.
For sure. We're coming up on our commercial break in about a little bit under 5 minutes. So just a quick question before we go into the break and come back, where when we come back, I do want to talk about fact versus fiction in the movie, in addition to how you felt about the movie going into it. Did you learn new things from it? Again, being Bucks fans who know the story pretty well. And then, of course, talking about ratings and all that good stuff. But you mentioned that you watched it with your children. This is a Disney film.
Yes, it is.
I mean, remember the Titans was a Disney film too.
I literally have that written down as a note. Like I have a...
Of the point coming about.
I have a connection.
Okay. But how did your kids enjoy the movie? Did they get through with it? Were they interested in it enough to like sit down and watch?
My daughter kept asking, how much longer is this movie? I'm like, so I had to pause. I'm like, oh, we got about an hour. I'm like, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. It's like, no.
I'll watch it, I guess. I started it.
It didn't grab her, but
yeah. I feel her. The movie was almost 2 hours long. And one thing I will say about that runtime is just the fact that at certain points I was like, I feel like we could have cut a little bit here. I don't think we needed this to be as long as it was, given the emotional depth that we were going with the characters, which we can get into a little bit more in the second half of the show. But I don't know, it just felt like certain things were drawn out that didn't need to be drawn out, and other parts where I'm like, now this I actually want to know more about, but we didn't go that way. So I did feel like there was some pacing and some timing issues, but I did see a lot of parents say like they watched it with their kids and they loved it. I think it was one of the former, I think he worked for JS Online. I can't think of his name right now. It's Matt something.
Matt Velasquez.
Yes. He tweeted that he watched it with his kids, and his daughters were like, "Oh my god, like this movie was great. You mean to tell me you know Giannis, and you never introduced me to like all this time?" And he's like, "What? Like, y'all didn't really." Okay, like I get it, but I was just curious, like how the young kids are taken to it. But I guess if you also like basketball and you like the Bucks, you probably would be a little bit more into it as well. Like, I wonder how if Ken's son watched it, who's the super Giannis fan, right, loves Giannis and all that stuff. But
yeah, I mean, like, I guess we got a little bit of time. Like, I guess going to Remember the Titans, this ain't the point, but like comparing the two, like I feel like there's a little bit more, like obviously it's a heavy subject, but like there's a little bit more fun, I guess, in the movie. Like this felt a lot of, you know, just not sad, but just like it was tough, like you felt like the toughness of it, so there wasn't as much lightheartedness, or if there was, like you had to kind of like see it as the silver lining, like, yeah, we don't have rent, but you know, we got to spend time together as a family. It's like, that's a great message, but at the same time, like as a kid, like you don't get like
yeah, but as an adult you watch that and you're like, God, like, oof. The water getting cut off in the middle of showers, and you're just sitting there like, it's one of my I'm not sure say a fear, but like I've had my stuff cut off before growing up and whatnot, and man, you appreciate stuff when it get taken away from you. But speaking of taken away, we're gonna get taken away for a second. It's on the TGN network. Quick commercial break, maybe 2-3 minutes or so. Enjoy the ads from other shows on our amazing network. Enjoy ads from sponsors who support what we do. And if you're watching on YouTube, you just want to see a quick little blip blap, and then we're gonna be right on back. So again, when we come back, talking about key themes, fact and fiction, and our overall thoughts on the movie. So stay tuned for that. As promised, we back. Myself, Camille, Eric here. This episode of Overtime presented by Technical Foul Podcast, talking about Rise, the new Disney movie about the Antetokounmpo family, of course, with the focus on the, you know, MVP, Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, so on and so forth. Giannis Antetokounmpo. In the first half, we just kind of gave some general thoughts, went over some plot points of the movie. And I mentioned what my little key themes were, and we had just some general conversation. In this part of the show, we're going to talk about fact and fiction, and also how watching this movie as Bucks fans went for us, given the fact that we know a lot of the story already. So our good friend at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, let's see who, J.R. Radcliffe, he put together a nice little article. Some takeaways and things to know about the movie Rise. And I want to go to the basketball part for a second here, because we spent a lot of the first half talking about family, immigration, other aspects of it, and not so much the basketball part of this movie, which some people might have come in like, hey, it's gonna be another basketball movie, but not all the way there, not quite. The draft process. So Eric mentioned that in this movie, the NASA's, you know, he's the star of the brothers, and he gets injured during a big game, and that's when Giannis steps in, and that's when Giannis kind of takes off at that point. In the movie, that's what happens. You see them sharing the same pair of shoes, which is true. That is, they definitely shared the same pair of shoes, although I did wonder why they chose Forces instead of the Kobe's that they really were, but I was like, maybe, I don't know, I don't think you got to get shoe clearances or nothing like that.
Well, I know that when they were filming it, most likely that was probably during that time where like Vanessa Bryant wasn't working with Nike, so maybe I think might have been why.
It could have been, and we know that Air Forces are plentiful, so that makes some sense. But yeah, in the movie you see that he gets injured, Giannis takes over, and then Giannis thrived in it. So with Thanasis being injured, he's unable to participate in the FIBA regional tryout for the Scouts. And Giannis goes, Charles really can't watch it. He goes outside, and Thanasis comes out like, yo, he killed it. Like, he did his thing. And then it just goes really quick through the draft. Like, they have, like, just kind of teams talking to his agent, although this agent doesn't really exist in real life. he's probably like a mixture of the two guys who kind of helped Giannis find his current agent. So maybe he's a mix of three people. And it kind of just flashes through. And the first time you see Milwaukee Bucks GM John Hammond, oh look, Tim's joining us, folks.
He's in the car, so I don't know how. I don't know how his quality about to be.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna make my point first, and then I'm gonna bring Tim in. So the first time you see John Hammond, it's again when the agent is really trying to pitch, Giannis to these teams. And that is just not how it went. Like at that point, there were scouts flying out to Greece. John Hammond was one of them. Yeah, general managers. And the Hawks were in love with Giannis. Like had the Bucks not drafted him, the Hawks definitely would have. And
like the Hawks were doing like clandestine visits. Like they didn't want anybody to know that they were on Giannis. They were trying their hardest to trade up to get Giannis. I also saw that Masai Ujiri was like trying to trade up to get Giannis too for Toronto. Yeah. But teams were like actually going hard after him. Like it wasn't just that, like we got to figure out a place to get Giannis because like they got to bring him over and his family needs this and blah blah blah. Which there actually is an interesting story about like what the Bucks and Herb Cole and all like the organization did to get the rest of the family over. But like, no, there wasn't that type of tension in the draft. Like they knew that he was getting picked somewhere in the middle of the first round. They knew that they would be able to get him brought over immediately because these teams were so after him. And it isn't just like he showed out at one tournament in Europe and then it's like, oh, maybe I can get you into the draft. Like, no, like that was a whole process for at least like 6 months leading up to the draft where they're like, we've seen footage of this skinny kid in Greece that's playing like, YMCA rec league, but like he's long as hell and can move like a point guard, and like people were like really after him. So again, liberties taken for dramatic license, but don't get it twisted. Like they knew what they had in Giannis. And also you don't go to the draft and then just like interview with teams. Like
that ain't how it goes.
I will say it's funny, like the guy they got to play John Hammond, like that was
some great casting right there. That was great casting. That looked just like John Hammond. That man came, I was like, he had the mannerisms. I said, boy.
The voice a little bit, like
right.
All the scouting footage was done by Nokia flip phones. Ain't nobody had no. From what I remember in real life, ain't nobody really have any footage on him like that. Like, yeah, scouts was going out to fly and see him, but ain't nobody really brought nothing back to really see him like that. Like, and the stuff that we did was all grainy and standard definition.
That's why the scouts had to go out there like to see him because the footage just wasn't enough. Like, I remember when the Bucks drafted Giannis, and I'm like googling tape, and I'm like, what am I watching? Like, what is this? I'm like, I hope he good.
We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like a good kid.
Nobody know nothing about him.
I'm gonna cheer for him. But that was quite unrealistic. And again, I mentioned in the first half of the show, like this is at the point in the movie where things started going quick. And that's when I was like, you know what? This is clearly a movie about family. This is not a movie about Giannis's NBA career. Because if it was, this would have been pulled out a little bit more. We would have spent more time here. We wouldn't have got speed dating with NBA GMs. It would have been more true to the process. And one fun fact about the process, which Eric was mentioning, was how in love the Hawks were with him. Like they flew Giannis and Thanasis to Atlanta under fake names. They had him in the facility. They had him geared out and all the Hawk stuff. And they're like, yo, we got you. Like, yes, you are talented. We cannot wait to draft you.
And they like after the visit or whatever, because they had told him like you gotta be secretive, you can't tell nobody you here, like it's important that you just like nobody can know that you're here. So like afterwards they're just like walking around downtown Atlanta, like I don't know if they had Hawks gear on, but it's 2 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" black kids. It's like anybody could spot you, like. And like they had to like rush and get them into a car, like duck them down and do all like the Secret Service shit, because they did not want to get scooped.
No, they didn't want nobody to realize how much they were into Giannis, but didn't really matter because the Bucks were there at 15 and they liked him too.
Yeah.
So
And our lives changed forever.
yes,
all
they
that matters,
did.
bro.
But I will say this too, Eric, you did bring it up. Do you want to tell the story time of how they were able to actually get the family here? Because a crucial part in the movie was that Giannis wanted, his family to be with him. And the agent was going to bat, like, yo, if this happens, like, the whole family has to come. It's a package deal. And you saw in the movie there were some teams portrayed as being like, I don't really care what package deal you talking about. If he's there and we want him, we gonna take him. And then others are like, well, I don't think he's good enough to play in America right away. And they're like, no, he has to be in America like now. Like, he has to get the whole family over here. And it's like, nah, I think I'm gonna stash him. And they're like, we need to go to a team where, he's gonna be able to play and they can get his family over here. So what's the real story? Once the Bucks did draft them, how were they able to get him over to get the family over?
So I don't remember the exact timeline for Thanasis and Giannis, but they were able to get, I think they wanted them for the national team. So Greece gave them citizenship essentially like within a month before the draft.
For the visas.
And,
huh? It was citizenship, not just visas?
No, I think it was citizenship. Because that's when the name changed. Like it was Adetokunbo, and then it officially changed once he had a passport. So they gave them that to play basketball, but like the family still, like Alex, Costas, Charles, Veronica, like they still didn't have papers. And so like once the Bucks were drafted, like basically Herb Cole's personal assistant, like that was her whole entire job was getting that family through. So like Herb Cole, again, sitting U.S. senator, had to get his personal secretary to like, push buttons, pull levers, like work on whoever she needed to work on to get like to push through their immigration. So finally, I think it was like January or February of his rookie year, they're finally able to get the family over. And so again, like they had the full might of the United States government basically behind them to try to get this family out of the situation that they were in.
That's some crazy pull.
It's one of those times where having a senator as your team owner comes in handy. It's about who you know.
Yep.
About who you know out here in these streets.
Because like there were times where like Giannis was like, "Yo, I'm coming home," because like he missed his family that much, and like it was by the grace of like basically the Nazis being here and in the G League, I think, that he was able to kind of like be comfortable at least enough to like not want to leave until his family got there.
Big facts. Let's talk about something else that's not a fact though in this movie. While they're getting ready for the draft, Giannis is having some doubts and he's talking to Thanasis and he's like, I might not get picked, man. And Thanasis tells him that, people don't get picked all the time. And Thanasis happened to name 3 players who I did not expect to be named.
No.
Dwight Bikes, Deontay Garrett, and JaMychal Green. Now, anyone who knows how the NBA went, you'd like, why did you pick those people? I still don't quite get the JaMychal Green reference. At least the other 2 have Milwaukee ties, which is what they were going after. They just wanted to do a little quick shout out to Milwaukee, so they named 2 guys who declared for the draft before Giannis declared for the draft to give a shout out to the city that Giannis ended up being a player in.
Yeah. Like it was like in the Marvel movies, it was an Easter egg. Like if you know, you know. But it didn't really take anything away from the story. But yeah, I was like, that's the most like that took me out the movie for like a half second. I'm like, wait, what? Like, you want to highlight successful undrafted players, and you go with White Bikes and Deontay Garrett. I mean, all right, like shout out to them, but
like you said, like Milwaukee's own, man, for sure.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
so
that was definitely that was random.
Right. But again, like Eric was saying, like if you know, you're like everybody here from like, oh, why do you use the Milwaukee dude names? But the screenwriter actually found a quote. They were saying like it was pure serendipity while working on the script. I was looking for examples Thanasis could use to lift Giannis' spirits going into the draft sequence of the movie. Players who didn't get picked but eventually made it into the NBA. Deontay and Dwight were the two perfect examples that jumped out at me, both in the 2011 draft, and the fact that they were from Milwaukee allowed for a cinematic wink towards Milwaukee as a future destination for Giannis. There is something magical about Milwaukee and the accumulation of this story that allowed all the dots to keep connecting in this way. So that is why they did it. They also interviewed both gentlemen, so they were getting like, yeah, my phone was blowing up and I didn't know what was happening. Everybody's just sending me messages and they're like, you in this Giannis movie? And I'm like, wait, what?
Ain't nobody told me.
Like, I'm what? they were geeked. They were like, that's really cool that they did that for us. And like, now we in a Disney movie forever. So if anybody's ever watching and they look it up, like who are these dudes that he mentioned? Like, they're going to see.
And they will Google them.
Of course.
You know they go Google the hell out of them. Like, who is these cats? Because not everybody knows who they were.
Exactly. Like, Dwight actually played at Bayview High School. They went to Marquette. Shout out to MU.
Class of 07.
Yeah. They're our age. And then Garrett attended Milwaukee Vincent for high school before he went to Iowa State. I believe, yeah, because he was there when my husband was at Vincent. So they all ended up in the NBA eventually, although they didn't play until after the 2013 draft. So again, just a movie nod to some Milwaukee Hoopers in that part. I'm glad that you were able to join us, Tim, because we're going to wrap up here and talk about how the movie hit for us as Bucks fans who know most of the story already. Tim, do you want to start with just how you felt watching the movie, going into like expectations you might have had, if you learned anything, and things of that sort?
I will say that I like most movies, I just kind of go into it and just take it for what it's worth.
Right.
I did enjoy, like, again, I don't know how much was fact or fiction with his parents, but just kind of like their journey to getting to Greece initially. And just like, granted, I'm not saying I enjoyed it, but I like seeing, like, that was part of their history, truly. Mm-hmm. Like, they really, like, I know they went through some things. I know they went through a lot of things, and they really had to, like, in essence, quote unquote, get it out the mud, bro. Like, for sure. And them kind of highlighting, okay, before Giannis, you know, yes, Thanasis was there, but we had to kind of move and groove. I didn't know anything about no Francis, though. I will say that. I don't know. I'm like, I didn't Google to see if Francis was an actual sibling of theirs.
Oh, wait. You ain't know that was Ophelia?
No. Oh, that's Ophelia? Oh, shit.
Wait. So when all these times that we said this Giannis brother, like, who did you think we were talking about?
I didn't know that was Ophelia. Like, because
no. Like, when we played Ophelia's music, we were like, hey, this is Giannis' brother.
No,
that's why we playing his music.
But in the movie, when they called him, I think his name is Francis in the movie.
Yeah, that's his real name.
I didn't know that was his real name. I only know him as Ophelia. I didn't know his real name was Francis. Hey, it is what it is. I don't know everything about the nigga. Goddamn.
I mean, I guess I'm curious. Like, you know, he has, like, you know, the four brothers, right? So, like, did you think it was like one of them, or not, like the three brothers? Like, you thought it was like Thanasis, Alex, or Kostas?
Honestly, I forgot about Ophelia. Okay. I'm not even gonna hold you. I completely forgot about Ophelia.
Okay, like, I'm not. I'm just trying to. I was just curious, like, how that happened. But
yeah, I completely forgot about Ophelia because the movie and the description of the movie is like, you know, Giannis and his three brothers becoming world champions and shit like that. So when they was talking about Kostas and Alex and Thanasis, I'm like, yeah, those are the ones that we see on the regular. I completely forgot about Ophelia. I know we had his songs on TECK Foul Radio and shit. I legitimately completely forgot all about Ophelia. So when they said Francis, I was like, you got a brother named Francis? So just being completely honest, I honestly forgot that.
Hey, I appreciate the honesty, fam. And the first half of the show, we told Philly we was his biggest fans, and now,
right
now,
hey, that don't change the fact that we was fans. I just didn't know his real name. Shit. I don't know every artist that I like real name. I don't know Masego's real name, shit, but I love the nigga.
That's a fair point. Continue on about that. Continue on. on how you felt about the movie, fam. Or was that it?
I mean, shit. I enjoyed it though. Honestly, it was a true Disney movie. Like the time when they were sleeping in the car. I'm like, bro, there's plenty purple and green and blue lights out here. Like, I don't know if they were sleeping under the Aurora Borealis or some shit, but there's hella neons out here. But in that aspect, I was like, that's Disney. I can see the Disney effect on that. You know, you got to make sure it's bright and still shit like that. But no, it was truly like, if I were him, I would be happy and proud of the movie.
I mean, Giannis was an executive producer. He wasn't gonna put nothing out there that.
True, I hear you, but at the same time, like, just because you executive produced don't mean it was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. You know.
So you're saying it was a good movie that you would think any? Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, sometimes it was Disney. Like it was a true Disney production. I enjoyed what they produced. I enjoyed the backstory. I enjoyed different aspects of him learning how to play basketball, randomly the pickup game at the basketball court, the dad and everything like that, which is still sad. But like just the whole, from the rooter to the tutor, I enjoyed the entire experience of the movie. And if I was him, I would be proud of the product that we put out.
I feel you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Was there anything else that you learned in this movie outside of that Francis is Ophelia?
I don't think so.
Okay, so most of the rest of it, you were like, yeah, this is what we know.
I remember that. Okay.
E, what about you? I know you had a note, too, that you wanted to get to.
Yeah, to Tim's point, like, it is a true Disney movie. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not necessarily focused on, like, the cinematography and the lighting and whatnot. But just in the way they kind of sanitize the story, like, yes, it's about, you know, a family struggle to rise over, like, you know, being illegal immigrants in the country, and like kind of looking at the positives, and like in that respect, it is kind of like Remember the Titans, because that's about like integrating a football team in a very racist area of the country in a very racist time in American history, which they touch on, but you don't really feel that, you know what I mean? Like
you feel the
not as much as you. Right. Not as much as it really would have been in real life. Like the struggle isn't as pronounced. Like I'm sure, you know, lights getting cut off, getting locked out your apartment, like had much more dire consequences in real life than it did as presented in the movie. And you kind of have to kind of fill in the gaps, like as an adult, but like from a kid's mind, it's just like, oh, that's inconvenient. That's, you know, like that sucks. But obviously it's a Disney movie, so like you're not going to get that. Right. As far as like takeaways from the movie, like I came in expecting a Disney movie, I left feeling like I got a Disney movie. Like I am the target demographic in that I'm a Bucks fan, but I'm not the target demographic because like I know the actual story. So like I'm just sitting there like that ain't happening. Or, you know, whatever. But I would still recommend it to anybody that's trying to get like a crash course in like, what's the story? You all right?
You got a lot of noises going on.
I'm walking to my crib.
Oh, go ahead, mute yourself till you get to safety, fam.
But yeah, like I would still recommend it to anybody like that wants a nice little family film. Like I would say like let your kids be a little bit older than mine at 9. Like where they might get some of the more, like it may appeal to them a little bit more. I just felt it was interesting. Like I feel like they realized shooting this movie, like the actor that they had for Giannis wasn't that great. Cause like they would have him like say one line to set up a like in the form of a question, and it would just be like a way for like the parents to monologue. It's like, hey, why'd you leave Francis? And then it's just the mom talking for like 3 straight minutes. Or
coming through, shining.
Right. It was like when Dad was sitting outside, like at the table, he asked him like one question, and Dad just like went off for a couple minutes. I'm like, oh, okay, like they need Giannis in this scene, but like, it can't be like a back and forth. Like that's above his pay grade. But and again, like putting the shine on Thanasis, like his actor was a little bit more charismatic.
Yeah.
Was kind of like I realized that throughout the movie. But again, like if you want somebody like intro, you know, Giannis 101, like this is a great place to start because it does touch on family immigration and basketball, like as you so eloquently put it.
Yeah. I think my mom's gonna love this movie when she watches it. As somebody who loves Giannis but might not be as familiar with all the ins and outs of the story, and also just as a parent, think about the sacrifices you make to ensure your kids are able to have a better life than whatever it was you have to make the next generation more fruitful. I can imagine my mom is going to absolutely love this movie. But
she don't call you crying.
Oh, for sure. She's going to for sure call me crying at the end. Yes, that's going to happen.
I can already hear you doing the imitation of her calling.
Oh, it's going to happen. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Like both of you mentioned, I went into it knowing it was a Disney movie, although I do feel like it didn't go as deep in certain places where I wanted them to. And not even like the basketball part, but if we're going to focus more on the family and all the pre-draft stuff, like let's dig a little bit deeper about what we're seeing here, not necessarily in the sense of like, here's the 8th scene that we have now of them struggling, but like, let's flush out the characters. Let's have Alex talk a little bit more. Let's have Costas talk a little bit more. Let's see the relationship between the younger brothers and the big brother a little bit more. Like, let's flush all this out a little bit more if that's the direction that we're going to go in. But they just kind of kept it at a certain level where you got enough of it, like you get it, but like I could have enjoyed more from that. But overall, it was fine. Out of 5 stars, my rating will be a solid 3. It's a fine movie. Wait, what?
You give it a 3?
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I think it's a great movie, again, for those who aren't as familiar with the story. I would recommend anybody who wants like a more in-depth dive to get the book. Mm-hmm. I feel like the book was what I was looking for as a fan of Giannis and the Bucks, and the movie is more so like, here's the family aspect of it. And I felt like a lot of it I knew. Seeing it on the big screen was, of course, special in a different way, where it's like, man, like Veronica and Charles really had to go through it to get them to be in a position where they were successful, but they were able to do it. And these young men had to put in a lot of work, and they did it. I get why basketball is life for this family. And then, yeah, it was beautiful. But since we only got like under 2 minutes left, I already gave my rating 3 out of 5 stars. Tim and Eric, where are y'all putting this one at?
I give it 2.5.
2.5.
I give it 3. You know what I'm saying? I give it 3. Like I said, it was cool.
Yeah, it was fine. Will you watch it again?
I give it 3.5.
No,
you just trying to boost up the rating, so when we average it's gonna be a solid 3.
Enjoyable Disney movie. So if it's enjoyable Disney movie, I give it 3.5.
Okay. Are you gonna watch it again?
No,
not a chance.
I watched it I was watching it with my daughter, and she had already seen it before I seen it. So I was calling myself trying to watch it with her. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll check this out. I seen it already. I'm like, what
did you late?
Yeah, right. So she actually enjoyed it a second time. So that's why it's a legit Disney movie.
How old is your daughter?
9.
Oh, it's about the same age. Okay, interesting. All right, well,
got into basketball, so she enjoyed it.
Okay, well,
yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, to everybody who is listening we appreciate y'all tuning in to this episode of Overtime, where we discuss Rise, another Tech Foul Cinema for you. Let us know how y'all felt about the movie in the comments. Out of 5 stars, what is your rating? What were your takeaways? What stood out to you? What spoke to you? We want to know. And as a reminder, of course, if you have not already, please subscribe to our YouTube page. We are on our push to 100 subscribers, and we need y'all help to get there. So please subscribe. If you have not yet listened to our weekly show, episode 256, please go and do that. And of course, we're going to wish you well. Have a safe holiday weekend. Nothing but the best. Be safe, y'all. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can catch me.
Wait a minute.
On Twitter and Instagram at Camille Monet, CAMILLEMONAE, because
your mom is Finch.
Thank you, Fake Ken.
At your world champion 2021 Milwaukee Bucks burner on Twitter.
That's all you get.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. What was it? K Harris 216
on Twitter and Snapchat.
And then Everyday Gentleman.
Everyday _gentleman.
Everyday _gentleman on the Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And it's your boy TIMKINZ, the number 3. You see the name in the corner. Check me out. AKA Ass Ketchum, AKA Mr. Give It To Me. You ain't get that in the beginning and shit like that, but give it to me. There we go. That was good.
Had to give it to them twice because they didn't get it the first time.
Hell yeah.
I feel it. Bye, y'all.